Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another presentation here in the Issues Room. Today is our 135th edition. We come your way live this evening here on Facebook with simulcasting on Facebook, here, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn. We'd like to encourage you. Welcome to this broadcast. Unfortunately, we're starting a little past 7 p.m., but nevertheless, we're here again. And I like to say thank you so much to those of you who have anticipated this conversation tonight. Of course, the panelists are gearing up and we'll have a wonderful conversation. I have two of the panelists here in studios currently, and we'll be joining them momentarily. We're still waiting for uh, my colleague and the other panelists. But in the meantime, it's a pleasure having all of you. The Issues Room is here on Tuesdays and Fridays, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and midnight. And by the way, I heard that by next week or maybe Saturday, I'm not sure if this Saturday or next Saturday, the time will be changing here on the East Coast. So usually at 7 p.m. is midnight. And so we'll be coming back 1 hour, which means that our broadcast in the Greenwich time zone, for instance, Liberia, will be at 11 p.m. But when that happens, we'll make the adjustment necessary. Now, Mapu Hall says it's Sunday. So it's this Sunday. Thank you. Thank you, Mapu, for letting us know. So this Sunday, we'll be moving back an hour. And so our broadcast remains constant at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, but in Liberia, it will be 11 p.m. So that would be a gain of, that extra hour that people can be awake rather than coming on at midnight. So I'd like to say thank you, Raymond Clark. Welcome, Fergie you. Let's share the word. Again, I say thank you, thank you, thank you for joining us. It's a pleasure having all of you here tonight. Please share the link, invite someone to come in. This conversation tonight has to do with, you know, uh, our elections. We said that most of our broadcasts now going forward will be aligning the crust of what we're talking about with the national elections. So tonight we want to look at the Liberian government's role in the elections. We also want to look at the citizens' role. We want to look at the international community's role. We want to look at the opposition because they're the one who want to unseat President Weir. But not only that, the pivotal role of the media, because the media can make or break rather the elections. So it would be critical for us to look at the media's role, and everywhere in the world the media plays a pivotal part in making sure that they disseminate the right information, that they don't take side, that they cut right across, making sure that the citizens get the benefit. And also we'll be looking at some of the elements that make elections free, fair, and credible. So tonight conversation will be interesting. So let me not waste any time, but instead bring my good friend and brother, my former colleague, my man, who we worked together for years and we're still working together because this is what we love. This is what we do. Mr. Hassan Kewu, good evening. Welcome to the Issues Room. It's not a strange place for you. We're back here and we thought that you can be a part of this conversation because you are one of the critical voices when it comes to the interest of Liberia. Welcome.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure being here. And I think you set the stage very well. I think all of us need to chime in and discuss some of these things. I'm not a friend of politics, but if you see me appear on this stage, it means that I have a stake in it. So I'm a stakeholder. So that means that everything that pertains to the elections, that we shape the destiny of our future and the country itself, whether it is a make or break, whether it makes the country safe or unsafe, we have to come here and talk about it so that the powers that be or those who are the custodian of the peace can make sure that we do have a durable and enduring peace.
Thank you. Thank you. Let me quickly go to Alfonso. Alfonso, thank you for, accepting our invitation to be here with us tonight on this conversation because it's another critical piece as we join into our national elections. You heard what we'll be talking about. Welcome.
Thank you, Volcano. Hey, Hassan, how are you, brother?
I,
It's been
I was I
been
was here.
several years.
I think over 20 years.
I know. Yeah, good to see you here in this medium. I hope to see you in person very soon. Volcano, thank you. This is a very great conversation. I think you indicated that this is really a make or break situation for our country. Um, Literature around elections and post-conflict societies, it's replete with information that says that when elections are not free, fair, credible, and not seen by the people to be so, they can lead to more crisis and more conflict. So it's real important for us as citizens and our international partners to engage and make sure that upcoming elections in Liberia are free, fair, credible, and transparent.
Thank you. Thank you. Let me go to my colleague Moses Sandy, who is adjusting himself. He looks frowned over there. So hopefully you settle in,
Yeah,
man. Listen,
yeah, I
we
am.
got
Yeah,
to
we
come
got
with
it.
the vibes,
Yeah,
okay?
we got it. Yeah, we got
Welcome,
it. Yeah,
welcome. So
yeah. Thank you.
you understand where we coming from tonight.
Yeah. Uh, Thank you for the opportunity. As always, it's good being the issues. And gentlemen, let me say welcome to you, Alfonso and Hassan. Thanks for joining us tonight. I will discuss this critical, subject matter, which the future of Liberia, depends on. So for
Thank you.
Canada, it's a pleasure.
Thank you. Let me go to Randy
Yeah.
Dapo, who is also here with us tonight. Randy, unmute yourself, please. Good evening. Welcome. Let me see if I can unmute you from my end. It's not happening. So, Randy, you have to do that on your end. Uh, you have to unmute. Oh, good, good, good. Welcome. Conversation tonight is not more political, but it's more nationalistic in terms of its substance. We want to look at the roles of the varying players in the national elections coming up on October 10th and some of the elements that make elections free, fair, and credible. Welcome to this broadcast. Are you there, Randy?
I think I may
Oh,
adjust it.
oh, you talking to me? I
Yeah,
didn't hear
yeah,
my name because
yeah,
you were
yeah.
on mute. Yes, yes. Thank you guys so much for giving me the opportunity to be here. I think it's been a while, maybe pretty close to 5 months now. I don't know what Moses, I don't know where Moses put me, but I'm glad that he had lifted my sanction. So I'm glad to be back here to discuss national and other issues. Yes, and,
Man,
Moses is
they
the
brought out troublemaker, man.
Moses is the chief of sanction. And he got all his finger all sanction. He got 5 rings for sanctioning people. So I'm glad that I have been lifted off the sanction. I'm glad to be back here to have a rewarding and friendly discussion that will help to enlighten the minds of our fellow Liberians back home and in the diaspora. So, but Volcano, thank you so much. And as time go by, I will try to say hi to my people out there. But for now, I would like to say hi to every one of you guys. Hassan Kew, wow, what a name! I remember growing up on 12th Street. That name used to be familiar.
I give you that Hassan a woman for
I'm just giving a historical timeline. We live in the younger generation. The younger generation only live in present memory. They don't know about
That's
past
right.
memory.
All
All
right.
right. So I have to
Okay.
give them that timeline. They
All
live
That's
right.
in
right.
present memory. You
That's
Volcano
right.
generation used to be around back in the days too, man. Come on. You're not just yesterday generation.
You see, he
Yeah.
want me look, he want make me look old. Now no,
Oh,
he old too.
okay, okay.
No, I'm talking about Volcano.
Oh, okay. There you go. There you
Yeah,
go.
Volcano. Yeah, he pretend I say he's not old too.
I think he's
No, no,
saying it.
Volcano is defending you,
No, no, no. What
No,
I think what
but
Randy
he's
I think
defending you with missing information. The young generation, we got to bridge the gap. They on the
yeah,
other side, we
I
on the
think
other
that's where
side.
he's coming from. I think Randy
Yeah,
is coming from the perspective of, we've been around long in communications, and
that's
I think
Yeah.
right.
that's what he's talking
and
about.
and, and,
Yeah.
and
But
these are
anyhow,
people. And I'm sorry for
go
being
ahead.
a little bit in the middle here, but Hassan Kew is someone that when I look at today's journalists and see their characteristic as to how they perform, and I see someone like this on my platform that I'm on a platform that I'm sharing with, I feel very happy to let the young generation know that some of the value that we disseminate out here, it was based on some journalists that we emulated their behavior, their character. So being here, I think it will be a very rewarding and a learning experience for today's generation. It's not just the cell phone, and then you there you talking with the phone sideways, your people tell you later, and so I just trying to make sure we
Yeah,
understand these things. Yes.
Thank
yeah.
you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, time spent. So where I want to start this conversation, I think I just want to go to the National Elections Commission chairman or chair lady. She was in the Senate the other day, just to draw some attention before we start the conversation. So let's hear from her when she went to the Senate.
Co-chair, fellow commissioners, invitees, staff of NEC, the press, ladies and gentlemen. I am pleased. Can you please this a little bit? In terms of the sound. Can you hear me better?
I think there's the wrong.
There's the news conference, but it doesn't matter.
There's a news conference today about the biometric.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Volcano, just roll it.
I had
Roll
the
it.
right cue.
Yeah, you can roll it. It's the same discussion. Yeah.
Collaborators, distinguished stakeholders, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen. I am pleased to welcome you to the headquarters of the National Elections Commission to update you on the status of preparations for the 2023 voter registration process. The Commission is proceeding as planned to commence the biometric voter registration BVR exercise in phase 1, counties of Bomi, Grand Cape Mount, Grand Bassett, Bapu, Maldives, and Montserrat. As it has been repeatedly announced, the registration in these counties will commence on 20 March 2023 and will end on 9 April 2023. These dates are for phase 1. However, the entire voter registration period is from 20 March to 11 May 2023. On the current status of the preparation for BVR, the Commission is pleased to report progress made so far to meet up with the scheduled date of commencement of the voter registration process as follows. The first consignment of BVR materials posted for training is currently in the country. The public will be informed as soon as the remaining materials arrive. The materials include card printers, ribbons, adhesive trading cards, computers, and servers for the central management system of the data center, among others. The training of trainers, TOT workshop for elections magistrates, assistant magistrates, county logistics officers, and some staff of the headquarters was conducted on 1st March 2023 to 5th March 2023. Training of electoral supervisors is currently ongoing, which started on Wednesday, March 8th, and will run for 5 days. The 3,195 biometric voter registration staff training will start on 13 March and will end on 17 March 2023. Consistent with Section 3.2A of the new elections law, the National Elections Commission has published the voter registration centers for the 6 phase 1 counties after a successful assessment of the 2018 census. 4 GIS coordinates of all the centers have also been taken into account. Several BVR demonstrations have been done, including the Liberia Marketing Association, political parties, and a plan is on the way to do a demonstration for the joint houses of the legislature. Biometric voter registration software has been fully tested and is ready for implementation. Materials for centralized infrastructure or AFIS, APIS, and voter management system servers have arrived in the country. Personal data entry. The Commission will introduce a personal data entry portal in the pending voter registration process. Benefits: it will reduce the time it will take to process the registering at the registration center. After a registrant submits his or her personal information online, he or she must go to the nearest voter registration center to complete registration. The National Elections Commission voter registration workers will take his or her photo and capture his or her thumbprints at the registration center.
So I like to stop here, and the reason why I want to stop here because this is one of the elements when you look at what makes an election free, fair, and credible. First, it starts with the voter registration, but we'll come to that momentarily. But gentlemen, they say the most fundamental principle defining credible elections is that they must reflect the free expression of the will of the people. To achieve this, elections should be transparent, inclusive, and accountable, and there must be equitable opportunities to compete in the elections. In fact, for a country to truly be a democracy, its election must be both free and fair. We're going to begin this conversation with Moses Sandy giving a little bit of background regarding why we're here today, and then we'll roll on to the first uh, 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 group that is responsible for holding free, fair elections to government through its NEC, and we'll go from there, and we'll take go to the citizens. We'll look at the international community. We'll look at the opposition. Then we'll look at the what you call it, the media role, and then from there we'll go with the elements. So let's start with Moses giving a quick summary, background, and then we'll go around the room. Thank you.
Yeah. Volcano, not to be repetitive, because you guys have said almost everything. Just quickly, we all know, Liberians at home and abroad, we all know that this year is a critical year for Liberia. What are the country tribes on that? When you go in rural community, people talk about the situation or Liberia is in peril, Liberia is sick. So Liberia goes to election this year, and that will be on Tuesday, October the 10th, 2023. That is when Liberians will decide whether the country moves forward or remain to where it is. Now, the institution responsible for doing that is the National Elections Commission. That's why today we have come to discuss the significant role this institution has to play in showing that Liberia remains a peaceful and stable society. How do we move forward? The NEC is quote unquote an integrity institution. To hold the election, today I had the opportunity of watching a video clip that emanated from Monroeville, which we just played. The chair of the NEC, Deanna Brown Lansana, told Word that as far as the commission is concerned, the Liberian government has made available 18 million US dollars, and that money was primarily for voters registration. She says that there has been no other payment besides that. And now let's look at the time frame here. We are in March. The commission is crying that its work has been stifled as a result of the lack of funding. We are in March. Basically, it means we have 7 more months to go, right? Because today is the 10th. So we have 7 more months to go to election. But as this lady reported that within the period, what they are being able to do, they are being able to do some preparation as well. They have brought in computers to initiate the voter registration process, which starts on the 20th. The first phase of the process will start on the 20th, and the entire voter registration process will close on May the 5th. But
No,
the significant problem, yeah.
May the 11th.
No, she said May the 1st. That's what she said. Mhm. She said it's going to be May the 1st. That's when the entire voter registration process will come to an end. They are being able to bring in computers, ribbons, servers, and other logistics. to ensure that this is done. They have started also with voters education and all of that. But while she was addressing the news conference, maybe I need to make mention of this. While she was addressing the news conference, someone from the finance office at the NEC came over and whispered in her ear and told her, and she reported that publicly, that she just got confirmation that the Ministry of Finance has made available $4 million US dollar, $4 million US check to the commission. So if you do the math, we're talking about $22 million right now. But
So
$22
what's the
million
total
dollars.
amount? What's the total amount of
So the
insurance?
total, now, because they are already giving it $80 million,
No, I understand 22,
yeah,
but what's the actual amount
to hold the entire election.
yeah.
The international community is supposed to contribute. It's my understanding that they're talking about $40 million.
Okay.
So we have a deficit of $18 million that that need to be given to
Taken
the
care of.
commission in order to do this work effectively. I
Okay.
would like to stop there for now.
All right. So, gentlemen, let's start with Alfonso. You heard what we talked about here, the role of the government in all of this, and we're 7 months away, as Moses said, and only $22 million. In fact, we know of 18. The
Yeah.
other one, they say the check. We know if the check will bounce. So, so let's just say we be banking on the 18
Yeah,
million.
we sure 18 million.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
you're
sure
right.
18. So,
Yeah.
I
what, from your perspective,
yeah.
what the government's role should be in all of this?
I think well, the role of the government in holding elections is really to make sure that the commission that is charged with conducting the elections gets the resources that it needs to be able to carry out its work. But it's not just the Elections Commission. There are other institutions of state that are responsible for making sure that elections are free, fair, credible, transparent. The security forces, for example. The security around the election process is extremely important. People are supposed to go to do voter registration. They say they're doing voter registration now online. They've ordered computers and what are that. What is the cyber security infrastructure around that process? That is something that has to be done. The government has an important role to play in that, in terms of providing the commission with the resources to make sure that they get competent, trusted people and institutions to manage those systems. Uh, then I talked about the police forces. Are the police trusted? Do the police have the resources to make sure that polling centers and the roads leading, sorry, not polling center, registration centers, the conduct of registration, voter registration itself, and even people going towards to the registration places to register are physically safe or feel physically safe to do so. So the security there, you can put in two buckets: the physical safety as well as the cyber security aspect of it. Nigeria just conducted elections. As big and as advanced as Nigeria is, more than we are, their infrastructure, their online infrastructure crashed. It took them days or weeks to announce the election results. They couldn't even effectively do the process. So I'm concerned about those processes. In addition, of course, to the credibility of the commission itself. How does the public see the commission and the commissioners in terms of the way they carry out their functions? One more thing, final thing, because I don't want to take up much time, is I'm concerned the way the government seems to be disbursing funding to the commission. That, in a way, in my view, can undermine people's credibility in the commission. If you're giving the commission money piecemeal, if they have to run after you to get the money, what other negotiations are they having with you? That also undermines their independence in the eyes uh, of the people. We all know in Liberia, when you have to run to finance ministry to get your voucher passed, we know what happens in that process. So in the eyes of the people, that's not a good thing to be giving the election commission money in piecemeal,
Yes, maybe,
as,
yeah.
as seems to be happening right now.
Hassan, 3 minutes.
Okay, thank you again. And I think let me just piggyback from where Alfonso left off, the disbursement of funds. And I don't think giving the Elections Commission piecemeal, 4 million here, 3 million there, or so on, you are stifling their work. And of course, if you want something to be tangible, you want something to go on very well, then the resources must be available. Nobody should run after you because there are a whole lot the Elections Commission can do. And like I said in my opening, this is a make or break. And the peace of Liberia depends on the Elections Commission. The work of the Elections Commission this year can decide whether Liberia returns to anarchy, from about years back, or Liberia improves and sustains the peace. But I do want to recognize the fact that NEC has started doing some work. I've been listening to most of the radio stations in Liberia. They've been doing some civic education programs on the radio, dramas and the jingles on the radio, creating awareness about voters' role and voter registration, why it's necessary for the biometric. Because one of the reasons why, in fact, they're saying that is that, because you remember this voter trucking, people have been accused of getting people, transporting them to various counties to go and vote when in fact they are from different counties. So the biometric will help out greatly. So the first one they are doing, you go and register, and then when you go and register, you have a finger, a thumb, or so on. Then when you come back, it's in two phases. The first is you do a registration. They take your specimen and so on. It's optional. But then when you go to the next phase, you have to write all the information down, and which established voter tracking because it has been continuing since 2017. People have been tracking people here and there. They will talk about how prepared are civil society organizations because they are the ones who checkmate and monitor these activities along with the international community and other local international observers to ensure that the conduct of the elections are free and fair. Then, like Alfonso also alluded to, security now and tomorrow. Tomorrow meaning elections day. Also, cybersecurity. Do they have the infrastructure that will guarantee that it won't break down because of the workload, that will ensure that the results will be fast coming in, and the results will be given quicker. Because the longer it takes for one result to come, it gives a different meaning to the conduct of the elections. Suspicion will come in there, you have misinformation, and you have disinformation. And we don't want that to happen at all. So we want to make sure that the elections, the conduct is very free and fair so that Liberia can live well and thrive again.
Thank you. Thank you. Randy, government's role in the elections.
Randy on camera.
Well, that's a
man.
very significant question there that you asked.
Yeah.
That's a very significant question you asked. I mean, staring in the face of the camera was something to me make no sense to me. So the camera, whoever speaking, should have the camera directly in their eyes because if I'm not speaking and you're looking at the camera, it makes me be like a statue. But let me come back to the issue here. As far as the election commission performance goes, we first of all need to establish the standards. All right, we just started our election as far as democratic process go 2005, and there have not been the structure in place to improve what we currently are criticizing right now. I remember the 2017 election. Felix A. Banks read a report giving reason why the election should go into the second phase. And one thing he said that I remember is the election commission should be held accountable to look at what are some of the deviations from the past election in 2017 and what needs to be done. Who hold the people accountable? If election commission is not being held accountable, then why are we holding it accountable? Because in this country, when you do any autopsy report, whether your performance from the past or your performance for doing something, you have to go and put in place corrective action. What happened to the opposition? Instead of the opposition holding the feet of the National Election Commission feet to the fire to start the early process of challenging them in order to avoid what is happening now, nothing was done as far as I'm concerned. So it just tells me that there are some opposition that just want to sit and wait till time come to the last
we'll
minute
come to
or
the role
almost to
of
the
the
last minute.
opposition. I know you're trying to make a point. We'll come to the role of the
And, no,
opposition. But let's
I'm laying
focus
my
on the
case.
topic.
I'm laying my
Yeah.
case, please. I'm laying
Okay.
my case. So please give me the opportunity. I'm laying my case. That's my time. Let me have my time. Everybody got an angle where they analyze things. I look at responsibility. Constitutional protected activity call for our participation in the democratic process. What is our participation? To ask questions, to challenge things. When Faith Bank came up with that question, it gave me the opportunity that I would challenge and I would observe. Nobody said anything in regards to that. The National Election Commission feel what it is doing is the right thing to do. If they didn't say anything before, why are they saying something now? Now, let's go to the sponsorship of the Election Commission. During the early 2 years, I mean, 2 terms in office, there were funding that came from international partners. Question here is the Liberian government still receiving that funding? If the answer is no, how are we supposed to fund this election based on what the government can to pay and what the international community going to pay? We have had so many elections during the past 6 years that suffering money out of whatever was being stored in there. My point here is whatever the election commission is doing, instead of people criticizing, and I'm only speaking to the budgetary issue now, I will come to other things depending on how the question will go, discussion will go. But as far as the fundings go, whatever the Liberian government is able to provide based on the limited resources in terms of tax collection, many people around here don't pay taxes in our country. More countries that collect taxes, the money are used in other areas to improve. So with the limited resources the government has in order to equally distribute in the different institutions, whatever the government has and whatever the election commission has announced, I think it is something that we need to further look into from the lawmakers to the Liberian people to see what needs to be done. For the election commissioner, I would like to know, let she be able to tell us in the past what knowledge does she have in terms of supporting the election and what are the challenges she have today, so that way we can be able to understand the advantage and the disadvantage as far as I'm concerned. But as far as the biometrics go, we must improve. There is no perfect beginning anything. Even in America here, when Trump won the election, the second time around when he ran against Biden, people came and were very technical in that election. There are glitches that take place in electoral process. There's no election that is free in the world. So if people just start to preempt that election result will be this, that, I would say no to that. Put your guys together, put your team together, and have an election monitoring team to be able to measure, observe what you are taking off so that the process can go. I'm a big fan of technology. I will support technology as long as it is making progress. Is it going to be better? Well, there is time for everything and the start point for everything. That
Thank you.
and give it back to you, Volcano.
All right.
Thank
So
you.
we'll go right. We'll come right back to you since you started on the opposition. Let's look at the role of the opposition. 2 minutes, because we're dwindling in time. So starting back with you, let's continue on with the role of the opposition. We now know that the government's role is to make the monies available, is to ensure that they empower the National Elections Commission. We talked about the money being given in splinter, and we don't know as far as it stands now financially, whether they will be able to be,
Keep
in
up.
the
Yeah.
position to get to the finish line by the due date. But what's the role of the opposition in all of this? Let's start with you, Randy.
Well, the opposition have been a complete failure, a disaster to begin with. I mean, they run the political party around individual and not around institution, all right, or not as an institution. Political parties should not only focus on maybe election. There are different areas of functionality within the election commission. For example, I mean, within the political party. For example, there should be a team within the political party that look at the past election, look at the challenge, have periodic meeting to determine what needs to be challenged now. But right after the election came to an end, everybody went and sat down. Only whenever there was special election or maybe a replacement election, they shows up. When it goes away, they come back. And the next thing they did throughout their time is out of creating instability in the country by coming up with protests here and there, but they missed the main point. So the question here is, what has this election, has the opposition presented to every one of you guys, including your audience here, that have been a concern as it relates to what we are talking about here now? Have you ever seen anyone coming out to say, you know what, they are very concerned. This is 2021, 2022, about the financial capability of the NEC to be able to purpose. What NEC gather from the from the Supreme Court. What do we know? All right, we don't see the opposition coming out here. They all just show to all that they are all in charge, but no one is in control. That's all they do. So they are a complete failure. I don't see where to start with them at, all right? Because right now they're not even organized among themselves. And I just go to show that they are not, they're criticizing the government making progress. But what are they suggesting? What are they suggesting that people can look at and say, yeah, what you suggesting is nothing. They have not put forward any proposal as to what needs to be done. Nothing. When the government react, then they come out. But they never lead the way. They are always the follower. So, I mean, there's nothing that I can say on behalf of the opposition. They are only focusing on individual. And what they live on what I would describe as perceived illiteracy. Perceived illiteracy is the form that the follower believe it. But we shouldn't be running our election like that. I give it back to you.
Thank you, Hassan. Let's start with you. The
Okay,
role of
so-
the opposition.
So let me start by disagreeing with Randy first of all by saying that elections, I mean the opposition, everything is built around the individual. No, throughout Liberia, not only the opposition, even the CDC is built around George Weah. So that's why we don't have system in place in Liberia, because all the political parties, even the Unity Party, the CDC, everything is built around an individual. It's not built around an idea that way, or systems where if somebody leaves the party, the system remains. And so it's dependent on that. So when the key person leaves, then they struggle to find their feet where they should. So I'm sorry to say that, but both the government, the ruling party, and opposition, they are all the same. Even in Africa, just Africa indeed, everything is built around the individual and not an idea. Now, what the opposition has been flagging, and you said some good stuff about the opposition, what they need to be doing is to keep the Elections Commission feet to the fire in terms of the timeline, in terms of those things that are needed. Say, for instance, they are doing the TOT trainers, and to make sure that they are doing the requisite things that will make sure that elections are done properly. Now, one thing the opposition has always been saying, even before now, is the cleaning of the voters' roll. They have stressed on it so many times. The opposition has also flagged that opposition has also flagged that NEC is not doing enough to ensure that there's free and fair elections. Right now, the ruling party is campaigning, and the campaign has not opened yet. When I gave you this example, they go to the stadium where the president is accepting a petition. Even the security people are wearing a T-shirt. It's all over the place. They're marching over the place with T-shirt on. Just the deputy minister of education, Latin Daton, on Flag Day was addressing a group of students on Flag Day. He was campaigning, telling the students they should vote for the CDC because the CDC gave them pay their WIX fee, they gave them free education, and saying that. Now that's campaigning, and the Elections Commission needs to put a stop to these things. Otherwise, hell may break loose. The other day, I saw a scuffle with a young boy from the University of Liberia campus went to the Capitol building and pulled down some banners and billboards having the vice president photo, the speaker and the president photo, and there with all some campaign slogan. He pulled them down. He also pulled down Yeke Kolba's billboards. Now, Yeke Kolba's billboard was in reaction to what he saw, and because the Elections Commission has not said anything, so he said, I will erect mine. When the boy came, he pulled down Yeke Kolba's first. That to show that he was fair enough. He wasn't taking side. He told that pull down Yeke Kolba's, and then he went to pull down the other one. He was dragged out of the Capitol building. And the government is campaigning. Everywhere they go campaigning. Jefferson Koji was in Nimba County just recently for street football, and the song the people were singing, President Weah is our president, and they had a song they're singing. You can't go to a peace football tournament and you're raising the name of the party of the president. That's campaigning. Street football in Central Monrovia, Takunje singing. He said the president get the opposition Huawei. I flagged that on Facebook, and all of these things. The Elections Commission needs to come out, monitor these things, and say, look here, we call all the political parties together. I know you guys are sort of getting into gear, but please, we haven't declared campaign open yet. Please be calm and let your partisans hold on until campaign has opened. If you don't do this, is the first step towards free and fair elections. Don't give one person advantage over the other one. And when something happens, and these are things that bring confusion. And Yega Kolba has said that he's going to bring his boombox and bring his truck out and be campaigning. Now, you can't stop it. If you stop him, then you are creating problems, because already there are banners and billboards up of the president and his party. For him, we call that mobile moving stage. In social mobilization, we say mobile moving stage. It's the same type of campaigning. So Elections Commission must tackle this first and foremost, and then do the other things that they are doing. Make sure they go by the timetable, even though the government is not doing well in terms of the availability or the allocation given give them in time. They need to do that, because the Elections Commission, I'm sure they know all too well that this is a make or break, and the future of Liberia is in their hands.
Thank you. Alfonso, before I get to Moses.
Yeah. So
let's
first
just
of
take
all,
out 2 minutes.
yeah, I'll take 2 minutes, no more than that. Let me clarify here. I know Randy mentioned that international community was giving money, and whether or not they're still giving money. First of all, it's the responsibility of every government to fund its own elections. When the international community program, they're helping you. So this whole thing about dependency, whether international community give money to our election, to build our streets, to build schools for us, to build toilets for us, we shouldn't be dependent on that. We raise resources, we raise revenue. If you don't raise enough revenue, then do things that will make you raise enough revenue. That's what good governments do around the whole world. And I just wanted to comment on that. Now, what's the role of opposition political parties? I think one of the key roles, and I think Hassan mentioned that, is to really hold the election commission feet to the fire. And one of the ways they can do it around the voter registration process is to establish establish structures that will make sure that they monitor the voter registration process to make sure that it goes right. It's my understanding that each political party, or at least I saw on Facebook that some of these political parties have representatives to the election commission. They should make sure that the processes and the systems established by the election commission are reviewed and monitored on a regular basis. Now, election law actually prevents government officials from campaigning in their official capacity as government officials. So if you go somewhere as the city mayor, you go somewhere as education minister, or you go somewhere as information minister, you're not supposed to campaign for the government, because when you do so, it's an unfair advantage. Why is it an unfair advantage? You're driving there with government vehicles, you're using your government platform, you're using government resources. You're still essentially stealing public resources to campaign for your candidate or your political party, which should not happen. That's why candidates and political parties in this country and elsewhere raise their own money and resources. So again, as Hassan said, it's from these little things that the election commission has to establish its credibility. If it doesn't speak up now and people form an opinion of it as being biased, it's going to be difficult for the bigger things for them to be seen as credible. So yes, the opposition has a very critical role. They have to set up infrastructures to guide every process. Voter registration is one of the most critical processes in an election process. It's when voter rolls can be padded, is when all kinds of things can happen. People can be placed in different electoral districts where people can have unfair advantage, etc. So the opposition should be really vigilant in excuse me, in monitoring these things. The opposition should be willing to go to court and to also undertake public education campaigns, but to go to court at every stage of the process to hold the election commission and the government accountable. I know I've heard opposition talking about money to fund the police to make sure that they have the capacity. I've heard that. I've heard opposition talk about money to election commission to make sure that it does its job. I'm really concerned. Why is the election commission even starting voter registration 7 months to election time? When would they publish the rules? When would people have time to challenge the rules, et cetera, and et cetera? So again, those are concerns that I think the opposition can raise. And
I'm sorry for jumping in quickly. And
30 seconds.
yeah, okay. So and then talking about campaigning and other stuff, and the opposition, I think they're not doing enough to hold the NEC feet of fire. Like again, I was listening to ELBC, I think on Thursday on the Bumper Show with Jala Griffith. Coportier and Dioko Mekazon, they were on there again, campaigning again. I mean, these are things that the opposition needs to complain to the Elections Commission that we have nothing against whoever wants to see anything, but make sure that these are things that they stand the risk of people campaigning now ahead of campaigning, and it could blow up. And of course, nobody want to listen to Elections Commission when you tell me I shouldn't, but people are giving their support and they are coming there in mass on radio stations, buying airtime to do that. I think they should call the various radio stations or the media to and tell them that this is what you can say on your air right now. We're not restricting you. We have no control over your platform. But look, for the sake of peace and unity and tranquility, let there be no discussion about somebody giving support. Well, somebody can get news, somebody come and give me support, that's fine. I don't have a problem. But to have a talk show, giving the platform, giving why this man should be, that's campaigning.
All right, Moses.
Yeah,
Opposition.
look, I would like to begin on this note, and this would be my proposal to you guys to ensure that we are on topic. And, we were discussing the opposition, the role of the opposition in the process. Let us dissect that. If we go to election laws that speak against pre-campaigning, then we can discuss that to the fullest, so that wouldn't be all over the place. And that would be my suggestion. Now, coming to the opposition, I disagree with my friend and brother Randy to say that the opposition is disorganized, is sitting there, is organizing, campaign and all of that. I don't think he's being fair to the opposition community in Liberia. Uh, just this week, the opposition political leaders in Liberia presented a petition to the international community, to the national legislature, speaking against some of the contemporary issues that are obtaining into this Liberia. And these issues have the ability of undermining the electoral process. Take, for example, the census report that was released by Legis. The opposition political leaders in the country have rejected that because the entire process was marred by dishonesty. You had funds being misdirected. You have resources being misdirected. You have people complaining that they were not even counted. So the opposition come to say this thing has the propensity of undermining the outcome of the election because the allocation of districts who gets represented, who doesn't get represented, that is going to be predicated on the outcome of the census report. So the opposition have come to say we do not accept it. I think that's laudable. The opposition has also raised its voice about the issue of national security. They say, hey, as we go to election, we do not have trust in the current administration. The national security of Liberia is in crisis. because the government fails to prosecute. The government fails to hold individuals accountable, individuals who are undermining the peace and stability of the country. That's laudable. So it is wrong for someone to say, oh, well, the opposition is not doing this, it's not doing that. Because in the absence of national security, all the thing we're talking here, there will be no free and fair election. Like what we're talking about, pre-campaigning, right? If I'm going to Tumpo village to campaign and I'm concerned about my own well-being, how safe am I going to be in our community? So these are salient issues unless we have a country where people will feel safe at night, a country where people will travel from one point to another without thinking that someone is looking over their shoulders. We cannot have free and fair election. To you, Volcano.
Thank you. So we're done with the opposition. Let's look at the role of citizens, those who are voting.
No. I got something to say. No. Volcano, if you don't mind,
All right.
I think it would be fair that you do me justice here. I've been very
Oh no,
quiet.
if you have a reporter, just say it. Don't say I'm gonna do you just
almost
go ahead.
everyone who spoke, this is something about me, so we can just jump to CDC like that. All right. So let me just address the issue here. You know, when I came first, I recognized Brother Hassan, but I think he's letting me down on the experience he has. But one thing I would give him in terms of is the fact that he mentioned about the existing tradition of how we do things in our country. For example, when it comes to paying loyalty to a political individual rather than a political party. CDC is not doing that. CDC has shown to us. I was growing up in the Samuel Karanto era, and I saw what that party did by just looking at certain individual. Unless we have a narrow mind of just looking at things, but I have a very broad mind of looking at things here. The CDC administration is doing what I call shared responsibility. They are giving responsibility to individual. The only disconnect that I see that some of the individuals are not living up to their expectation. Yes, Mr. We have integrated the demographic of that country as it relates to different function across the government sector. The only issue I see there is the fact that those guys in our role are not doing anything. So as far as the CDC, according to my brother, being the same as the other institution, that is totally untrue because we can see the young people, the middle-aged people doing everything. The president himself is getting involved with community projects. He's doing what we Gembike. Gembike is a Japanese word that say you go on the site and report actually what you're seeing.
Yeah.
That tells me that the president.
I'm concerned with sidetracking and doing partisan
so
politics.
Randy, I think what it is.
So actually, this is where now. This is where now. No,
Randy.
you see, for Candle, let's be honest. That when this guy was speaking, I was tempted to speak. Why can't they hold their peace? If that is the rule or engagement now, then when they're speaking, I will start to jump in and out because I'm very good at that. I think they should hold because they were saying things that tempted me to say my thing. So
I understand.
let them be fair too.
Hold on. If you
Randy, we were invited here to discuss a certain topic and not community project. If you want to take us in that direction, some of us can leave.
That make it think that when you were saying I didn't have the ability to inject. No, I decided to play it fair, one at a time. Because if we start talking over each other here,
but we're not debating.
No, that is not what we're on our show.
Gentlemen, hold on now. We're not debating.
Let
me finish. Let me say now.
Points.
Just hold. We're not debating, Randy. Listen, we're not debating. We're having a conversation from a perspective where if somebody says something, it's not everything that you have to.
And I respected that from the beginning, though.
I'm coming on. It's not everything you have to refute.
Respected that what they wanted to say here.
Listen. You want to refute something, then you don't have to give a history. You said that is not what Hassan said. He has spread the party.
You cannot micromanage what I'm saying in regard to what it.
Understood.
No, what I'm doing here is I'm making a reporter. I'm a reporter here. I'm giving a reporter. I am not specifically what the guy said. I'm only trying to provide my result to what he said.
Granted,
it's specific me, and
it doesn't have to be
historical. You can't say the man building roads because we're not talking about roads. We're talking about elections.
Gentlemen, if you have a kind of quick,
go back and forth. Let's Randy just end.
Randy, okay.
Randy, just go ahead.
Let me just end my thought.
Finish.
Just end. Let's
for Moses and for Moses and I'm not telling you how to run your show, but there will be red flagging when you guys are talking, because when they say things, I will have to come back to correct
Granted,
it.
but
So
don't do
until you're
historical.
reference, I will always come back to say things.
Don't do
Okay.
historical
Yeah, no, you can't limit me.
timeline
You can't
because
limit me. And
Yeah.
I have
know,
to
you can't
because you have
limit
a
me.
show running.
My discussion is fundamental. That's my character. That's my
Okay.
style. That's my style of discussion.
Yeah.
All right.
And
It's
Volcano.
not about institutional around individual. And I'm trying to say no to that. So
Okay.
can I finish now, guys?
Moses,
Yeah,
I
go
mean, it's
ahead.
always
Yeah.
when I come on the show. When I come on the show, I'm always a subject of discussion. I don't know why.
it's
So let
because
me just finish. So what? As I was saying here, all right, we see the president as individual who have been very involved. He is not building an institution around himself. He gave other people the opportunity. Now, when it comes to the funding, I think my brother Alfonso talk about raising fund. Alfonso, I don't know where you live, but government is not in the business of making profit. Government services. The reason initially that Ellen Johnson said the government receive a lot of resources from partners is the same as what is happening in Liberia today. We don't pay taxes. If every one of us who are around here paying taxes, the government will use that tax money. But all down here, including myself, I got land in Liberia. I don't pay taxes. Some of you guys would not admit to that, your audience then. But if we are paying the taxes and the government is raising enough revenue, we will be able to challenge them. And as far as the how they call it, the opposition not doing anything, I stand by it. The opposition does have member in the House of Representatives. If for any reason NEC is not performing well, call on NEC. You got your representative in there. Let them look at the issue and bring that lady and say, what are you doing? But these guys don't believe in that. You just create disability. You seen it. They're coming all right now because commission coming talk about what happened to all the years you started Moses and everybody
okay, Randy.
Yeah, he in that now. I know what
all right.
happened.
Yeah, thank you.
Back to you
Okay,
guys.
so Volcano,
Thank you.
quickly.
I
Volcano.
don't think Rennie have been following because
Yeah,
yesterday the people were at the Capitol building. NEC was at the Capitol building.
So, quickly,
yeah.
Volcano. I just want to make this clarification. I'm not sure if Rennie is in tune with happenings into this Liberia. Because if he's actually in tune with what is happening in Liberia, then what he said, Jenna, is a misrepresentation of the truth. How do you tell us that the CDC does? No, Randy, let me complete my thoughts. How do you tell us that the CDC is not centered around George Weah? How do you tell us that?
But let us
The
not go
metrics
into that conversation because listen,
yeah.
I came here for the purpose of no
Yeah.
politics tonight. I wanted to discuss I want us to be concerned about the national elections.
The discussion somewhere.
You can't be filibustering and talking about each other because it's okay. I wanted us to go.
Yeah,
Volcano, I think let's move on, Volcano.
Yes.
Yeah, let's move on. Yeah. Move on.
Let's disregard whether we are.
I would take guys a disappointment number one.
Yeah, go ahead, Wendy. But listen, gentlemen, we talked about the role of the government. We were able to lay out some blueprints here. We talked about the role of the opposition. I mean, it's fair enough, right?
Yeah.
But the citizens are the direct voters. These are the people who will make or break their own destiny. Yeah. And that's why I'm concerned of then us going back and forth here, trying to make who's who and who's going to win. I think I want us to go with this conversation in the flow. Whether you disagree or don't disagree, it doesn't change the fact that if we're ill prepared for our national elections, the outcome will be detrimental, and it will be detrimental,
obviously,
to the disadvantage of all of us, right? So what's the role of the citizens, the voters, those folks? How prepared are they to be informed, to make the right decision, whether for the incumbent, whether for the opposition? I think it's critical because they are the ones who hold the country's future in his hand. And I think we went around the room some kind of way. I will start from the back with Moses, and then we'll come to Randy, then we'll go to, and come back, because I want to, go around. So start with
Yeah,
you, Moses. But let's watch the
yeah,
time. We are 8
yeah.
o'clock, so 2 minutes.
It's an excellent question that you asked, Volcano, and this is where everybody comes in the process. The rule of the citizenry. The National Commission, the National Elections Commission. I will put this at the feet of the National Elections Commission. We need what? Voters' education around the country. It's not only in Montserrat, around the country. Civil society organization, the churches, you know, the media. All of these organizations supposed to be involved in the process of educating our people, telling them why it is important that they exercise their political franchise come Tuesday, October the 10th. We need education. We need to help our people know why election is critical, that they can't sit back, that when they sit back, the implications going to be very huge. Everybody needs to get involved. The churches, all the various community organizations, they all need to get involved. When we educate our people and our people get to know the relevance of election, I can tell you, Volcano, the people will participate. Unless the people are educated and informed that here's somebody coming and marking, or like the traditional chief, somebody coming and using government money to give you vehicles with the name rating on it, donated by George Weah. No, that is wrong. We need to educate our people that here, the resources of the country are being used at your disadvantage. So, education, education, education. That's how I would like to put it.
Randy, citizens' role.
Well, I hear him mentioning, but George, we are you say anything or so. When I start to expand on that, please don't say anything because I'm very sensitive to things because that's what
Oh,
am
no, what
I
then
just
you
letting
can
you
talk
know
yeah,
because I have
man,
to
man.
cover
Let's
that basis.
talk your thing. Go ahead.
No, I'm just trying to play the roof fair here. You see, that's the problem. You know, what I'm
No,
doing to our democracy here, Volcano, what I'm doing to our democracy here is called stress testing our democracy. I have to stress
Okay.
test our democracy. That's what I'm doing to our democracy here. If we want to be
go
fair
ahead.
on our conversation, let us be fair all over. So when you
Go
see me
ahead.
asking the question, I am
The,
stress testing the democracy of our
the
country because
role
it's
of the
still young here. All
citizens.
right.
The
Yeah.
role
Now,
of the citizens, Randy.
now, yeah, the role of the citizen is not just up to the opposition. I mean, up to neck rather. The opposition need to play their part, right? What is political party? Political party is an idea of an individual. And how do you bring members on board? The philosophy you share as it relates to the issue, it will draw somebody to you. The fact that you can establish a political party means that you have some agenda as it relates to creating voter education. We are had election in this country for the past time. All right, we have everything here right there. As you can see here from we got 2000, I think 2005, 2011, and even up to 1997. You vote for, you keep my mind, you keep my power, I will vote for you. People were in shock when they saw those things. If you run a political party, those are deviations that you need to put together. Begin to challenge your voter, your party staff as to what needs to be done. You see, Brother Moses mentioned about Liberians telling people that they're not registered, they're not too safe. Where is he getting information from? Is it based on invalidate what the people saying? When you accept that information and bring it out here, then you are also contributing to offsetting the process of voter education. It will be better to challenge people because remember, opposition will always come and say things, but as a media practitioner, it is always important to challenge these things. So I would say, as far as voters, is two ways. If I want to win an election, I will make sure that the citizen that takes side with me understand the issue rather than voting on party lines. For example, you Volcano must be president. When you ask them why Volcano must be president, if somebody is so restricted to telling you that Volcano must be president or Coming must be president, if that all they know, then we got a problem because they are not discussing issue. What are the issues that make you believe that Boca should be president or Coming should be president? They don't give you anything, but they just tell you, say, Boca is president. Go sometimes I fishing in the form of posting things on Facebook, right? It's called fishing. I'm fishing to understand their mindset. Boga is not fit. Boga is our president. Tell me what Boga or commission should be president. This, but on the other hand, CDC has gotten a lot of beating from me. Nowadays, when they get ready, when I tell them what Mr. Weir has done, oh, he building road, he building this. At least they are giving me a pointer to what they believe that he has done. But when it comes to these guys, that is the opposition. They are not giving us what they have learned in terms of voter education. So it gave me the sense that they are only voting on party lines and not voting on issue. And until they get to understand that there must be an issue, like issue in the room or the room issue, whatever the show is, they would not be able to articulate why they should vote. And they would be voting as uninformed voter rather than informed voters. So I'll leave it as that.
Thank you. Yeah, Alfonso.
Yeah, thank you.
Citizens'
So,
role.
yeah, I'll go directly to the citizens' rules. So democracy, the whole thing about whatever we call democracy, is built upon the free and fair expression of the will of the people. Basically, free, fair, and informed expression of the will of the people, so that we get governments that are determined by the people, but that also feel answerable and obligated to the people because it's the people who gave them the power. To be able to get to that point, people must understand that their survival, their progress, and the survival of their offspring and their children and progress of their society depends on their votes. People must also, as a consequence of that, be prepared to participate fully in the process. And Moses talked about the importance of voter education to get people to that point. People must understand that they have the power, not the corrupt politicians who bring them bags of rice or give them few dollars or give them $20 each to go and attend whatever political party rallies or whatever. And I'm hoping I'm not stepping on any toes here, but I've seen actual videos of that. That their votes are more than the $20 or the 10-pound bags of rice or whatever that they are given to turn up and to vote. First of all, doing that is corrupting the electoral process. People must understand that. The citizens must also be able to report when they see abuses, when they see excesses going on in the electoral process. And I'm happy that Moses mentioned that there are people who are coming out and saying, but this whole census, I was not even counted. I was at home. I was in my village. I was in my town. I didn't see anybody coming to do census. How come they arrive, they counted people? And the reason we do census is not just to determine the number of people that live in a country, and Moses alluded to that, is to make sure how many people lives in which community, in which district, etc., because that's how resources are allocated. So if you didn't even count the 5,000 people that live in Sonny Wayne, if you say only 200 people live in Sonny Wayne, guess what? When the budget is made for a school in Sonny Wayne, for a clinic in Sonny Wayne, it will be made for 200 people. So I think our people, in terms of the role of the citizens, they also need to begin to speak up for themselves, not just be used as tools and instruments, especially for the corrupt politicians roaming the country.
Hassan.
Yeah, let me piggyback on where Alfonso left. I think it's a good thing Alfonso has alluded to. People should not be used, and I think gone are the days where people would be swindled by a bag of rice because they are hungry or so on. I think Liberians have endured a lot. I think they must be pretty used to whatever chicanery that the politicians want to bring. On both sides, the opposition side and the ruling party side, I think they should look at their condition, look at their situation. Are they better than before? Or the people that are going to put in the options that are available to them, as opposed to Mr. Weir, are the options that they actually want? Because don't put Mr. Boakai there because Mr. Boakai has been in government for a long time. Don't put Mr. Cummings there because Mr. Cummings has this investor mindset and he can turn things around. Don't put Mr. Weir there because he, according to them, they've started something that must end. Put somebody there you think that person is able to transform your life, to move your life from right now to where you think it should be. But if you're happy with where you are, then bingo. Also, the voters' education. The Elections Commission is going on with voter education. We want people to pay keen attention to some of the things that they are doing. Doing voter roll education. I'm hearing a lot of jingles on ELBC. I'm hearing a lot of jingles on OKFM, a lot of jingles on True FM because I monitor them almost religiously. I monitor them. But in spite of that, we also need Elections Commission too to use the digital media, the social media as well, because a lot of Liberians now are on social media. So you want to take your wet clothes when the sun shines where you put it. So make sure that you share or migrate some of your ads into social media so that people will look at that. Also, civil society organization. Civil society organization need to charge their representatives that look here. This is about us. We are all stakeholders, but it is incumbent upon us to ensure that free and fair elections are taking place. And we need to report anything that we see that is not, does not have a resemblance of peace or outside of the law. Then we need to report that as well. Then we also want people to listen to these things so that they will learn. Tell the people that look at the elections, it is not the people thing. It is we are thing. Those days we say, my man, that the people thing, I'm not putting my hand there. Tell the people need to know that if you sit there, you don't vote for somebody. Those who will vote are the ones who will direct where the country goes. So you say it's like a story somebody told. Somebody went in the ballot in the booth to go and vote. Instead of marking the person they want, the person they hate is the one they just use the X and cross the face. So guess what? Invalid vote. So you see, in order to make sure that you are voting somebody out, you must vote. Don't say I will not vote. No, then the mayor you don't want will be there. Or if you don't want Mr. Weir to be there, go and vote. If you want Mr. Weir to remain there and you don't want the other people, you still need to vote, because if you don't vote for Mr. Weir and you sit there, other people vote for Cummings or Buakai, then it will be Buakai and Cummings that will come to power. Then Mr. Weir will be booted out. So that's why it's important to go with your conscience, vote for these people of your choice. The census, many people said they were not counted, and I'm disappointed, honestly, because if you look at the entire Southeast, I think 5 counties, just about 5 counties, the population of the 5 counties cannot even, they're even less than just the population of Nima County. How is it possible that the population of this entire Southeast grew so exponentially, more than the population of Nima County, more than the population of let's say
Montserrado County as a whole? Yeah.
No, forget about Montserrado. Montserrado is a whole big county. Let's about Monrovia itself, where there's a population explosion. You want to tell me the Southeast, the population of Monrovia grew maybe by a quarter, and the population of the Southeast grew by over 50%? Come on now.
All right, let's move on, guys.
So these are some of the things we need to flag. As citizens, we need to flag, but let's make sure that we listen to these
Can I add a
people.
few things for 1 minute?
All right, just about 30 seconds, because I got to go to intermission. Yeah, quickly. Do that quick.
Okay, cool. All right. So speaking about voter education, I recall Ellen Johnson said he came here in 20 something and said that the market women told their children not to give their voter registration card. Have we straightened that up? No, because those who were in the ruling establishment at that time, who are today in the opposition, never saw that as a problem. How do we verify that? That's something you need to think about. Number 2, all right, the voter registration population census increment. I think it would be on us, based on our human intelligence, to hear people, to listen to people, and not even doing an empirical or independent verification or an independent peer review to look at what people are saying. People are projecting by the year 2030, Liberian population will reach up to 7 million. Do we say no to that? Population don't know what happened in our county. People are infiltrated into our border there, doing illicit money, having family in there. We are not going there to see this thing, but we wouldn't sit back here and pass down information to us, and we want to react on that. I don't see that as a very fair analysis on that. I give it back to you, Volcano. I don't believe in doing that. I take
the entire southeast has only one border with Ivory Coast. Nimba country has Guinea and Ivory Coast also. So look at those two.
Thank you.
Volcano, let me just add a little bit to civil society, not on the issue of census at all.
You don't know the daily issue. It may be one route, right? But you don't know how many people go in there and out there all the time. That's why you need to understand. At what rate are people entering in there on a daily basis?
You got two borders. You got one in two countries.
Let's move on.
You got only one country. You got 6 counties, bordering only one county, one country. You want to tell me that there'll be a mass in? What tell me there'll be mass influx of Ivorians into Liberia? That means
that's why I'm in the rate.
It's not going to make a difference here whether two routes
I'm
and one route. His point. He made a point. Let's just take the point. Alfonso, quick. I got to go to
very quickly. 10 seconds. I think Hassan made a very important point about civil society organizations being involved. That's extremely critical. I remember in 1997, in the 1997 election, civil society organizations such as the President of Liberia, Justice and Peace Commission, different organizations came together, and we formed the first ever local Liberian election observer and education organization called LEOM, Liberia Election Observers Network. We send people around the country. We send people to different polling places to monitor elections. Of course, we couldn't go to other places such as, rebel controlled territories and stuff like that. But that is an example that, civil society organizations could piggyback on.
Thank you, gentlemen. Listen, to all of you watching us here tonight, this is the Issues Room. We're on our 135th broadcast here tonight on Volcano Shelton. I have Randy Dapoor, an environmentalist and social media podcaster. I have Moses Sandy, a career social worker, but a former practicing Liberian journalist. Alfonso Yunan, a former practicing Liberian journalist, but a social and human rights advocate. Hassan Kewu, a former practicing journalist, or are you still practicing, my man?
I'm still practicing, and okay. I'm also a health communication specialist.
All right. Okay. And so we are here discussing national elections, the preparation leading toward the national elections, the government's role, the opposition role, the citizens' role, and we'll be coming shortly with the international community role, followed by the media. Again, we say welcome wherever you are, spread the word, join us here for this conversation because it's important. Our country is now hanging in the balance, and it is our hope that this election will make a break and take our country further. There are many necessary components leading up to free and fair elections, although some of them are fairly straightforward and are expected to be considered true when it comes to democracy. Specifically, the things you guys are talking about, who will come to voter registration, voters have access to reliable information, citizens can run, all voters are able to vote, because you see sometimes government can, intimidate people. And the talk about voters, intimidation, voting is free from fraud, where people are giving $20, for somebody to vote. Ballots are counted accurately, which is critical with regards to the results that are being reported. The results must be respected, like we said, even though when you look at the situation here in America with President Trump saying, hey, I agree to it, he was bouncing, grumble, and all of that. But at the end of the day, there must be respect for it. And so what is the role of the international community? Because the international community is not just coming in to fund our national elections. The international community coming in with the tools, some of these things I'm talking about here, because The international presence can help to restrict government from meddling in the process, because the presence is like a check and balance for the system. So oftentimes we think every time we talk international community, it has to do with money, but there are a lot of other things. What is the role of the international community, Hassan Kewu? Let's start with you.
So I think the international community is to work with the government or the government, and also the organization in charge of elections, such as the National Elections Commission, to ensure that everything is set. Everything is set, meaning that they have all the tools, identify the challenges. And one of the things that we don't do well sometimes in Liberia or other parts of Africa is that we don't do complete inventory of what our strengths are. Let's say what we call SWOT analysis, our strengths, weaknesses, threats, and opportunities, and all the stuff to make sure that we have the problem we have, we address them. Where our strength is, we keep it. If we need to augment it, that's fine. But our weaknesses, we build on our strength and our opportunities and our threats to ensure that our weaknesses are boosted up to ensure that everything is synchronized. So the international community needs to work with the Elections Commission to see where the needs are, and just see where the needs are is not enough. They also monitor, because it is their money. For instance, if the U.S. government gives you money, of course they will say USAID for the American people. So that means that they will need to follow where their money is going. They will need to make sure that they have representatives assigned to the Elections Commission, as they have done in the past, to ensure that that voter roll or whatever they said they've done, they will do it. And everything, they should have a timeline. Make sure that they are checkmating them, because after all, if something should spark up as a result of some lapses, then of course the international community should also be blamed, because they were working with the Elections Commission when these things were happening. People were complaining, or even if nobody complained, you still saw some of the lapses, bring it to the attention of them, and if they don't address it adequately, flag it to people, so people should know. Don't keep it to yourself or so on. Also, we needed to monitor people, monitor them, and hold their feet to fire. I remember about in November, the U.S. ambassador Michael McCarthy went to visit the Elections Commission, and he said it squarely that the U.S. government will monitor closely the conduct of the elections. And also, he went on ELBC radio and said that, look here, everybody, either through your actions or your utterances, you'll be held accountable for whatever comes up, especially when it turns out to be violence. So I think those are the roles the international community can do. Work with the Liberian government through the Elections Commission to find out what the challenges are and how can they address those challenges.
Thank you.
Challenges. But I'm also hoping that in past elections, after past elections, the Elections Commission did some post-mortem to know where the challenges are as they grow, for bigger and bigger elections such as this one.
Thank you, Moses.
Yeah, look, guys, I would like to begin on this note, and I would like to say this to my friend and brother, Randy. This is an intellectual discussion we're having here, and I want us to be very honest. When Randy comes and say that the concern raised by the opposition that the issue of national security in Liberia is in danger, that doesn't reflect the truth. I think he lays in a different word, and that's dishonesty. If Liberia was such a stable country, a peaceful country, as implied by Mr. Randy, then all these crises, the most recent one, glorious car situation. And Randy, you want to tell us that we don't know what is happening in the country? The census, the census report, you question that? Did you not see the flaw? Did you not see the inadequacy? Did you not see all of the malpractices that preceded the process? And you want to question that? That's dishonesty.
Okay, so then,
I mean,
so then that
let me
means you
come
took
back.
your time. No, you took your time from the.
Yeah, sure. Okay, yeah, I took my time.
So
Yeah,
maybe
I
Randy,
just wanted to clarify that.
Okay,
We have to be honest, man.
yeah.
We
So
can't do
okay.
that.
All right. So then, Randy, you got a meaning too, please. Let's do this quick.
Yeah, I think Brother Moses is acting on his emotion rather than trying to analyze the true I'm here. I don't take people word for it. As an engineer, I don't just take things and put it into practice. If a librarian comes and tell me, say, "Oh, I did not get counted," I'm going to ask you, "Where were you and why you didn't get counted?" If you tell me, I'm going to follow the source to independently verify what you say. The issue of gross card is beyond the conversation here. If you perpetrate somebody,
Yep.
one of you guys tell me right now to come to your home. Moses, you eat the word. I can get a pepper spray right now, come to you right now. Spray you in the eye. And let's see how the reaction will be. That conversation is beyond that. As far
Yep.
as people living in security, is something that even happened during the Ellen Johnson said time. People were living in a state of insecurity. Even in the Philadelphia right now, people are
My
living
man,
in a state of
my man,
insecurity. The question is,
I beg you,
what
let's
are
limit
we?
it to
I'm still,
now.
I'm
Yeah,
still,
but you
He
know,
has his one
I'm
minute. Let
still
him use his
implied.
1 minute to talk about Philadelphia. Let's not
Thank you,
interrupt.
Alfonso. Thank
yeah, I told
you,
you.
Alfonso. I got an ally here for the show. All right. So, Brother Moses, Brother Moses, Brother Moses, I understand your frustration, but these things happen in every society. But we must commend and believe in our judiciary system. All right. Those national police that are investigating these things, if we continue to criticize them, then the question will be, when did Labrador got her independent? Why are we not having standard or how things should be done? And Mr. Nobody said anything because people were pleased. See, one thing I was there quickly here, when folks are in the know of things happening for them, it don't become a problem. Is them, then it become a problem. We cannot operate our society like that. Back to you, Volcano.
Okay, thank you. So, Moses has lost his time with regards to
Yeah, it's okay.
international community. What
Yeah.
your take on the international community? We gave you another 1.5 minute. Uh,
I haven't spoken on international community.
we'll come to you. That's my
Oh,
point.
okay,
Keep
okay.
going with you.
Who's speaking?
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. In for
Mr.
the sake of
Dabo.
let me give it to my
Mr.
ally
Ready,
here
Dabo,
because I'm
we
looking for
talking
my
about
ally.
crime in
And
Philadelphia.
No, no, we're done. We're done with that.
Okay.
Yeah. Randy,
ready, get you
I'm
to your
just
ally.
referring to insecurity.
Randy, quickly, the role of the
All right.
international community from
Yeah.
your perspective,
So
a minute and a half.
yeah. So post conflict resolution. In the case of Liberia, where we went to war, we came back and tried to re-establish every institution. And if we decide to take on democracy, I think post-conflict resolution has to do with the way we should look at things and measure things in order to get a result. But the international community will comes in because it feels that we went to war because we're not getting along. So the international community, aside from financial support, will always provide guidance support as to how it should be done. But at the end of the day, or along the way, they will have to part way with us, take all the training we for us to do our best. So I think with the Carol Center, we got to believe in these institutions. But when we have pre-judging result, when the international community is within the country or among us, they'll be there. Come on, guys. We here already. I mean, you guys should be better be thinking about putting together a team that will be part of the election at every district to do their own in-person counting. But the opposition is not thinking about that. The CDC government under Georgia is assuring people, even in the United States, that when he went back home, we ensure that the election will be fair. But on the other side, the opposition keep preempting. Oh, correct. It will not, I don't want to be very animated here, but that's how they behave. They're not being very measured in how to educate their people. And I will go back to the prior question you asked about voter education. They just putting the guy emotion out there. So they need to be more strategizing in things than just be preempting and creating instability. In fact, they are creating more instability. And when it comes, look at what I call voter instability, voter insecurity. The opposition is creating more voter insecurity and instability in the country than what you're talking about, Brother Moses. So back to you,
Thank you. Alfonso, the role of the international community.
Thank you, Volcano. So the international community has, a lot of my colleagues here have touched about some of the roles of the international community. The international community has a very, very important and critical role to play. Oftentimes, though, they come in around election time. on election day, they come in with all their cars and their people, they wear vests, they monitor elections, they issue statements, and they go. I think this time around, the international community needs to come in and be involved in the process from beginning to end. Because election is not just what happens on election day.
Yep.
Although what happened on election day is important, it's just one step. For example, we talk about voter registration. The process of voter registration is extremely critical. If it's left or allowed to be corrupt, it can determine the outcome of the election.
Yep.
Let me just read something quick for you,
Yeah.
because you strike that point.
Yeah.
It said the first standard that defines free and fair elections is that citizens are able to register to vote.
Yep.
Yes.
This does not mean that governments cannot place certain limitations on the right to vote. For example, countries limit the right to vote to citizens
Yep.
above a certain age.
Yep.
But in order for an elections to be free and fair, all citizens who meet the eligibility requirements need to be able to register to vote. Meet the eligibility requirements. Limiting the ability of ineligible citizens to register to vote is one tactic that some governments use to remain in power. So
Exactly.
I just wanted to set the
No,
tune
thank
that
you. You hit the nail
voter
around the head.
registration is
Yep.
the first and foremost.
Foremost. Yep.
Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, Hassan talked about the two-track registration process that the Election Commission talk about. So you can go online, and then I heard the election. You can go online, put your information in, and then you go back for. I wonder how many of our people are able to go online to even do that. And those who are not able to go online to do that, what provisions are made for them to do that? So all of those things are important, and the international community can play a role in making sure that people, citizens who are eligible to register and to vote actually do. Because as you just said, Volcano, that's the beginning of the outcome of the election process. My brother Randy talked about people crossing the borders and coming into the country, and that's why the census reflects that. Are those people registering to vote too? That's
Are they
another thing we
Nigerians?
have to look at, because there's a tendency, it's a possibility is happening where people actually just bring people across the borders and bring them into the country and they can register to vote. That's another area that the international community, political parties, but also the international community can help us to look at, given their expertise, given their resources, etc. And the international community this time around should not wait for election day to get involved. I think the international community must engage with the government. I like what the U.S. ambassador said, and what he continues to say, basically telling them that we will not tolerate any cheating, and if it happens, people will be held accountable. I think they need to go beyond that and actually hold people accountable during the process, not just at the end of the process when the damage has already been caused. I think the international community should work with civil society organizations and strengthen them to play the role. I talk about the 97 election and what we did. We got resources from the National Democratic Institute, from the NAD, from IFES, etc., to be able to do the kind of work that we did. So I believe the international community can play that role to strengthen civil society organizations. They should work with the Election Commission. They should work with political parties to strengthen the political parties to be able to play their role as well, because they do have a role. They have an education, a civic education role to play, to educate their voters. That's how we get people to participate in the process. So it's just not the job of the Election Commission to educate people. It's the job of political parties to educate people as well in the process, and the international community can help with that. And as I said before, the international community should be prepared, willing and prepared to take action throughout the process, not just pacify the situation and leave. That happened with the 1997 elections, and that contributed largely to disturbing the peace and taking us back to war right after the 1997 elections.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you.
I
Now
have
we
a,
go to the big
I have a
one.
quick,
Okay.
I have a quick comment that, if you don't mind. It's just an open question for everyone. Folks are talking about the election would not be fair, the election would not be this. I don't know in what content are they speaking, and I think my brother Moses is saying that I'm not informed on the issue, but I think this is going to disprove that. That since Mr. Wiak took office, most of the election that have been won in that country has been the opposition. Darius Dillon, Borchas. So if we're looking at a pattern being developed from election fraud or election cheating, from what we have seen so far, where the opposition has gained upper hand, should we now be talking about election fraud, or should we be talking about we think this government has done so well by giving opportunity in a very fair and honest way, even in Lofa
Okay.
County? You see, did not present a candidate. However, the candidate decided to join CDC. So, in my observation, as far as this election go about election irregularity, I think we should be more focused on proving what the government has done rather than trying to criticize what the government hasn't done. And as far as people crossing the border, we have intermarriages. There are a lot of activities in terms of subsurface mining. People are there having babies. So there's a possibility, but the rate at which it is happening, I won't be surprised that the population will increase. So
Thank
that's
you.
what I wanted to say, guys.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah,
you.
I
but
don't
let
want
me-
no.
no, I'm not talking about the census. I'm not talking about the cross border. It's just
Hassan,
the other
Hassan,
part.
let me just lead this way. I don't want to come back and forth. We crossed that bridge already. Nothing else we're going to say here. But this is where now you're going to say a lot of things because the role of the media, right? With the proliferation of disinformation, because that's what's happening. A lot of disinformation, right? So with
Yep.
the proliferation of disinformation and the ongoing state capture of media, because sometimes the state captures the media, right? Currently ongoing across Africa, not just particularly Liberia. What can we do to make the elections free, fair, and credible in Liberia? Uh, we need to make sure that the government or incumbent, okay, does not spread misinformation. Ensure that citizens have access to reliable information, that all candidates and parties are able to get media coverage, okay, and have their voices heard. These are things that are currently under threat and must be addressed in order to secure free, fair, and democratic elections. We should we should also support the work of non-governmental organizations and citizen groups, like we talked about. These act as a bridge between the citizens and politicians. They allow for dialogue between the two, help inform the public debate on important issues and on elections, and can also help citizens, especially those who are elderly, disenfranchised, marginalized, to be able to exercise their vote. But all of this can happen if we don't have, I would call it an integrity media outlet. And we use the word integrity here because it's critical. The same way we say the NEC should be an integrity institution, the media should also be in, integrous in how they do the work. So what is the role of the media? Let me just leave it open now because this is the
Okay,
last
okay,
one here.
okay,
Who
okay.
goes first?
I'll
So,
go first.
so let me
All
come
right.
in.
Yeah, I'll go
We
first.
almost
Okay.
have a place now. Who
Let-
goes?
let me go first.
Go ahead.
Is
Go ahead,
yeah,
Sam.
Because I'm
okay.
never because I'm never afraid of trouble when it comes to the media. Become critical of the media.
All right. So
I think
listen,
I think
two and
first
a
of
half
all,
minutes. 2.5 minutes. Watch the
okay,
computer time. 2.5 minutes.
okay. First of all, right now as we speak, there's no integrity in the Liberian media. And why I say so is that you hear the talk shows. Most of the talk show hosts are being bought. Most of the journalists are coming on air openly, on Facebook openly. They are saying journalists for we are or journalists for this. I see also some journalists are aligned with Buckeye or Cummins. But be it as it may, the ruling establishment has bought as a majority of the journalists. Almost most of the talk show hosts have all been bought. You can hear from the analysis. Because the reason why I say it is because I call myself listener in chief. I listen to almost all the talk shows, most of the talk shows in Liberia on a daily basis. I mean, I stay all day. So we need to change the dynamics. We need for the media to let the people know what is obtaining and what role they can play. But if journalists start to say things, okay, there are several radio stations which are that you can hear from their broadcasts, from their activities. They are aligning with the ruling establishment. And as journalists, we have to be neutral. We also have radio stations that are owned by these politicians aligned with the ruling establishment. Of course, everybody is there. But one cardinal thing is that ELBC, the position that all of us come from, must be fair enough. I haven't seen anyone who has a critical voice be invited to ELBC to talk. In fact, ELBC, in my mind, is fast becoming a station that might bring violence because some of the people who are on air, they are not speaking with peace, and they are saying, making derogatory remarks. I listen to the ELBC all the time, and that's my radio, that's my station. In fact, I'm the coordinator for all former LBS employees, so I can't be beating myself if I know that things are not going right. Things are going wrong, or things are not going right. So that's why I'm saying that the role of the media, we need to educate people. We need to tell people that this is happening. We don't need to be doing things that will bring violence or instability. And because of our activities, if we are not careful, we will be sending two heads together and our country will degenerate into chaos. And I'm not hoping for that, but I think the media, people need to be very, very careful. And but I like the way the U.S. ambassador put it again. Anyone, whether media, whether politician or opposition, your utterances, if your utterances lead to some instability or some violence, will hold you accountable. But like Alfonso said, we should not just start on elections day. The result, somebody giving if say Baka wins 10 and you say Baka win 5, or we are wins 20, you say we are win 2, then that will stir up issues within the opposition. Opposition, oh, we are is cheating. No, it's simply because we have not put those machinery in place, and we need to start putting the checkpoints now, not on elections day. So for the media, we need to make sure that we are neutral. But most of them are wearing party t-shirt already coming out.
Thank you.
They're coming out singing,
All
and
right,
so
Moses.
it's going to be a difficult
Yeah.
thing for the media to be fair.
Okay. Look, this is how I'd like to begin. And I will begin by what Alfonso said earlier. That elections are not events. Elections are processes. And if we are to ensure a free and fair election in Liberia, then we need to begin to lay the foundation now. And that's where the role of the media becomes very, very critical. And let me say that, Hassan, I beg to differ with you that there's no integrity in the Liberian media. I think that's a very broad statement to make. It's like you're accusing everybody of having no integrity, and that does not reflect, what is obtaining in the country. Yes, I do agree that there are a lot of ethical transgression, but to say that there's no integrity, I think that is far fetched. You know, uh, how do we ensure that the media play its role? First, we need to look at the media itself. The Liberian media is vulnerable because of poverty. We have no media market. Look around Liberia today. In today's Monrovia alone, I'm sure you got more than 100 radio stations. You have multiplicity of newspapers. Where's the media market? Who are the advertisers? Most of the newspapers, the Liberian government is the biggest advertiser when it comes to media market. So you go to the Ministry of Finance, they give you a list of things that they want you to do. And if they notice that Moses Seni is a critical voice and he runs a radio station, Moses Seni is not going to get advertisement from the government. So the media is strangulated. So because of the extreme poverty in the media, no market, media institutions are hiring individuals who lack the basic training. Like any of us on this talk show, I can go back to ELBC and work for $200 a month. No more. Volcano is not willing to do that. Alfonso cannot do that. Hassan cannot do that. Randy, is not a journalist, but if he goes back home today, he can work for $200. And because we think we're beyond that. Now, the skills we have, those skills are needed to ensure viability in the media. But because the media is poor, the media is hiring individuals, the media is easily manipulated. All the radio stations you see around town, the ruling party is throwing money here and there.
Because that's the sustenance.
That's it.
That's the route of the sustenance. But
Yes.
then what? So then just cut to the chase because we
yeah.
got to move on.
So now what do we do? The way forward is to ensure that the news is balanced. All sides of the story must be told. Let's exercise what we call the fairness doctrine. If I come and throw Hassan under the bus on your radio station, you should also give Hassan the opportunity to come and clarify.
Exactly.
That's the fairness doctrine. And if editors going to perform to their best and tell the story effectively, we need to pay them well. We need to pay our reporters well. When we do that, then we have standard.
You just alluded to my brother.
That will positively influence
the outcome of the election. Yes.
Okay. Let's move to Alfonso. Listen, we got minutes here now.
I know.
What I said, Moses.
It looks like I'm the one who has to make sure I stay within the time so we don't go over. So I'll try to do that.
Okay.
First of all, not everybody who holds a pen, who has a cell phone in their hand, or who holds a microphone.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And that is the problem. The proliferation of people walking around and saying they're reporting news. I think we have to be mindful of that. Every profession has a professional organization guiding its work and its ethics. So the president of Liberia somehow has a role to play in this process. But beyond that, and Moses talked about some of those things. I don't know if the president can do much in terms of holding his members accountable, can do much in terms of making sure that people report and not take money from government or even from opposition politicians. Mm-hmm. And part of the reason is that the president has no real impact on the lives of journalists or of media institutions in the country. And I've put forth a suggestion long before that we need to make the press union an actual labor union that can go to these employer institutions. Don't be fooled. When somebody opens a radio station, they're not opening it because they love journalism. They put their money into it. They're a business. They're running a business.
Money, yeah.
When somebody opens a newspaper, they're running a business. And because they're running a business, the people who work for them, their employees, must also be paid well and must be represented by that professional organization that insists that they are paid well. Because when you insist that these people are paid well, then you can hold them accountable to the ethics of the profession. But if you do nothing to impact their lives, and all you do is the president has a meeting here and you pay a due and people go there, and the president himself just relies on money from NAD to operate, or even take money from government to build, places or to get, then you're not helping the profession. I think that's the fundamental problem in Liberia. And that's the reason why we have proliferation of newspapers and radio stations, right? Mm-hmm. They think they can go and just collect money, from politicians and government officials.
So we're looking at all of these things, Alfonso.
So the plan is, what can we do? And I'm coming to what we can do. What we can do is what you're doing right now. What you're doing right now is one of the things that we can do. So the credible people like you and other people need to try to jump into and try to occupy the space and provide a platform that provides the credible information to the people. That's what we can do. We can't go in the street and take the cell phone from the young man who's in the street and saying he's a journalist. But the president can say, this man is not a journalist. Here are the credible people. Here are the credible journalists. Here are the people who are holding the country. The issues room can do that, and other platforms can do that. Individuals as journalists can go around and take up that space, so we don't leave the space to these money hustling reporters who could corrupt the system and could really, as Hassan said, bring about chaos in the process.
Thank you, Randy. The role of the media, from your perspective,
Yeah.
will be the last point, and then we'll be wrapping up tonight. I don't know
Yes,
why
thank you. I would like to focus on the structure, and I would like to focus on a regulatory and structural approach, because as a regulator in this country, how things are regulated and how things are structured. I think one of the ways that we tend to overlook is our ability to revisit our draconian laws we have in place. Because cell phone recording is different from the way by ear TV camera on your shoulder recording. We don't know whether that has been incorporated into our video footage. So the question becomes, the committee in the House on Media and Technology, what rule have they set to revitalize the new social media? Because you have to think about mass media is of the audience through radio wave. Social media is computer based, where individuals create their own content. How do we balance the two from a regulatory standpoint? And the second thing I would like to look at structurally, what can be done from the regulation to say, you know what, let's try to blanket maybe a particular radio station along with their freelance journalists, that will lessen them that before you take your camera, you have to subscribe to a particular institution before you carry your camera up there as a freelance journalist. You're not going to gather content for your story, and you can bring it out there. But if you go on social media, you on your own, because your information will not be credible. So we have to balance the two in terms of trying to structure our institution. Until I see that, we have a problem, because we have to differentiate mass media from social media. Now, when it comes to the, I think someone made a comment that the ruling party, every time a new government come in place, the government will follow, the institution will follow them. Guys, that's how you know this thing here, my brother, more than me. Samuel Kanyon do ALBA will say yes, sir. Eddie Johnson said the ALBA will say
Of
yes,
course,
sir.
of course,
All right. So how do
of
we
course.
create the independence? And I think that's what the brother talk about. All right. I want to talk about, and trying to create a labor union that will be very independent, and that should be a legislated law that will stand and say, we are only here for the truth, but nothing but the truth. But if we allow the institution to be micromanaged by the brooding establishment, it is the same thing. Tomorrow we are leave, another government can't order it will be popular. And the doctrine fair that I mostly talk about, I often used to wonder, how can a guy, and I'll call names here, a guy by the name of Stanton Witherspoon went and took charge of the major radio station in our country, and he kind of supersede everything. Where is the fairness doctrine? Today he hosting all the major radio stations now. Where was the fairness doctrine to say, look, you can only take one big one, but leave the other one for the other people? It was never done. That was a gap in what we have today. So for a regulatory,
a point of correction, those are not major radio stations, according to the latest pool.
Go ahead,
well,
Randy.
that yet to be independent verified.
Yes.
It yet to be
Okay.
independent verified.
They
People
are
can give
among the
biased
major radio
sense.
stations. Put it that way. They are among the major
Yeah.
radio stations.
Yeah,
Among
it
the
has
major,
to
all
be
the major.
independent. Yeah, it has to be independent verified, because those stations that he's going through, I myself used to work through them before. They are majors in terms of
Yes,
reaching
yes.
radio land. But one of the limitations there is we don't have electricity across the country, because electricity few internet, so it might be limited, and that's why I think he got more power. But Moses, the doctrine of fairness as it relates to the media, that's something we need to do. Structure everything. Those who got a camera, let them be on some mentorship to guide them, because in the future they might want to go into journalism. For now, they only having it for fun. Oh, on social media, and everybody jump there because people are less busy. So we need to look at the regulation. We need to look at structure, putting structure in place, and let it be done within the fine line of the law or the legislature. Refine our media law to see what needs to be done. And you guys need to be a major participant, because most of the lawmakers, they don't have support staff who will guide them on this thing. And that one the deficiency the lawmaker got in it. And I will put it on every one of them in the final comment of mine. Every one of them, they don't have staff for to impact. They just come out and say things. So, Brother Volcano, back to you, and thank you for that little
Gentlemen,
time.
we're wrapping up now.
Yeah.
Alfonso, your mic is muted.
Sorry. We do have media ownership law in Liberia that is supposed to guide against monopoly. Whether it's implemented is something else.
There you go
Thank
again.
you. Thanks for the clarification.
Yeah.
So, gentlemen, I'd like to thank all of you for showing up here tonight. It was a pleasure having you. We had a little bit of bumps in the road, but nevertheless, these things happen when intellectuals gather to hold conversations, especially when we got to have divergent views on the matter.
Yeah.
But once we can come back and stay the course, I thought it was a great conversation. We can continue this. It's not going away. We're looking at the month of May as part of the deadline for some of those things. We can come back here and circle back to see the gains of the Elections Commission. We can also see how much money is being put to them to be able to really, really do their jobs to get us to the finish line. So again, I say thank you. It was a pleasure having you guys here tonight. It's 9 o'clock. We're intending for 2 hours. So I'll let go of you. 30 seconds, please. 30 seconds, please, please, please. Final word. 30 seconds.
Can I go first? Can I go first? Can I go first?
Go so you can go.
I almost suggested he must go first.
Yeah, go first.
Go, Rennie.
Go first. 30 seconds.
Go ahead, Randy.
I know you are the cheater, but I hope to be
No,
back
no,
here in
go
May.
ahead, Randy. Go ahead, Randy.
We want to let you guys go quick. 30 seconds.
Yeah, go ahead, Randy.
But thank you
Yeah.
guys. Thank you guys, Hassan. Thank you, Alfonso. It was a pleasure meeting you guys so much, man. Bye to everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Randy.
All right. Hassan.
Yeah, I think it was a good discussion. We touched on all the areas that need some touch-ups. My only thing is basically the three areas. I mean, almost all the areas, you can say one is better than the other, but I think the bus stops with the Elections Commission. Put those things in place and make sure if you're having a problem, let us know in advance. Look at your challenges, do a SWOT analysis of what you have. If there are bumps in the road, let us know right now so we can also do it. The opposition, you need to put the government feet to the fire. But not only that, do things yourself too. Not everything that you say, government. Do those things that you can do without the government to create an impact. As for our people, do not allow yourself to be trucked or whatnot. The best thing to do is to go and do the biometric, because they're going to match your fingerprint to what you have. That way, if you have a fingerprint correct, then you can go and vote no problem, because we don't want any trouble. As for the media, I stand by what I said. Moses alluded to it, but he just put it in a different way. We still don't have integrity in the Liberian media, because if we stay are not paid well, and we are forced to take cadeau, and we are forced to go by what the finance minister said, do this, do that, strangulate us because we have to do this, then stay our ethics, we have compromised our ethics because of one little thing. So Moses, you said it all the way.
30 seconds, man. Why you talking plenty?
So I'm a broadcaster.
All right, thank you, Hassan.
So that's it, and thank you for the opportunity to come on the air.
Thank you.
The media is the bulwark of society. The media has an extremely important role to play in this process. So I will thank you all very much for really creating this space and having the wherewithal to bring these very critical conversations to the table. I would say continue to do more of that, and through this medium, I'll try to encourage more and more people to jump into the space and bridge that vacuum, and also push back against the disinformation that is happening and that is going to happen. Very quickly for voters, I think the keys here are that we must focus on electing people who will create the necessary environment for jobs. That's really critical, for safety, for social services to be provided. And I think you guys can play a very major role, as you've already been doing, in informing the voters on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Alfonso. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Alfonso.
having you here tonight. We just like to say thank you again.
Yep.
We'll reach out to you again.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moses, it's time for what type of country is this?
But
What
let
type of country is this?
what
type
type of country is it when
country
election
is
come
this?
in, power ministry come, the
What
money
type of
available
country
again?
is this? Okay, it's time for what type of country is this? All right, Moses, no joke.
Yeah.
What type of country is this?
Mhm.
All right,
Yeah.
okay. Thomas Awaji, you there? Raymond Clark, what type of country is this? When beggars are more than those that are working.
You see? Hello, Raymond, I was just waiting, my man.
What type of country is this? Let's go. I want to see it, Thomas Awaji. Alexander Hayes, come on, let's go. What type
What
of
type,
country is this, Moses?
what type of country is this when you have less than 7 months to, to national election and the election commission is crying that we don't have money? What type of country is this?
What type of country is this, my man? The whole country does not have a helicopter. The whole country, no helicopter.
No
What type
helicopter.
of country is this, Moses? Thomas Awaji says, what type of country is this when the sellers are more than the buyers? And the man, right?
And
I
that's
mean,
it.
Moses,
Yeah.
the market people so plenty. Plenty,
Yeah.
my man. You hear me? Sarah's Dapo say, what type of country is this where everyone celebrates their own devil?
That's a good one, Sarah.
What type
What
of
type of
country is this?
country is this?
Go ahead,
What type
Moses.
of country is this when you get a paycheck today, when you come out of your office, the whole place is crowded by beggars? What type of country is this?
Oh, Moses, what type of country is this? By the time
Yeah.
you get paid, the money already finished
The
because
money-
you use it for transportation
You
to
finish
get to work.
crediting, you finish crediting all over the place.
Yeah. you so that you get paid, the money finished because just transportation. Can you imagine if you're making $50 per month
$50,
and you got to go to town or you got to leave town to go somewhere else?
and you
What type
live
of country?
Johnsonville, Volcano.
Mhm. Johnson Colley, hey man, I like the guy. He said, "What type of country is this?" When Jeff disturbed Emma Sawyer Memorial Program, nobody talk. But Soup did their own, you talk.
What type of country is this?
What type of country is this?
What type of country is this? When students at the University of Liberia have made a place a no-go area for government officials.
They stop the man from going there. What type of country is this when the governors live better than their constituents?
Yeah,
What type
that I
of country
like
is
that.
this?
What type of
Emmanuel
country-
Jackson says,
Yeah,
the
Emmanuel
government,
says that.
you know, those who are governing live
Yeah,
better
they live better than the
than
constituents.
the
Can you
constituents.
imagine?
Let me
It's like,
catch the one here from oh god, it's coming to mind now.
yeah.
What type of country is this when the police can investigate one case and close it? I like the guy.
All the
I like
cases
Joseph
are in
Colley.
all the cases are in progress,
Yeah,
right?
all the cases, the three missing balls, the case in progress. They auditor the
The
case in
Oscar
progress.
case is in progress.
What type of country is this? Let me take the one. Yeah. Say I'll begin. What type of platform is this?
Yeah.
Beginning on a flip flopper like J. Randy Double and expect balance
Yeah,
analysis.
analysis.
Mr. Hayes, listen, we I'm sorry. Jay Randy had his points, he had to make them. But let's go back to Thomas Awaji. He said, what type of country is this when people are living in the graveyards and smoking there by the pool?
What type of country is this, my man?
What type of country is this? Let's get this guy. He's a new person here. Wilson Zell. You said, what type of country is this that you have a crazy representative abusing the president?
What type of country is this?
Thomas G. Johnson says,
Yeah.
you guys are laughing at your country. You all have contributed to the state of the country. Thank you, Thomas.
That's a good one, Thomas.
Thank you. What type of country is this? From Thomas Awaji again.
Yeah.
So, when the police officers wear slippers too, they got a wicked boy.
What type of country? Whatever country is there when you driving and drinking at the scene and the policeman pulls you over and say, my man, what you got for you, man?
Whatever country is there when the police officer wears slippers to work? Oh God. But listen to this one. Whatever country is this that has no national library, but yet everybody claims to be educated?
Yeah, everybody.
No library in the whole country. A
No
whole
library.
country since
So where
1847.
do you go? So where do you go to do your research?
To do your research. Whatever country is this? No library. Let me hear from his again. He said, whatever country is this when the victim becomes the accused?
Yeah, whatever. I like that, Alexander. Yeah.
When the
Because
victim
that's what
becomes
happened
the
in the case of the former Chief Justice. She's the victim. She has now become the accused.
Emmanuel Jackson said, whatever country is there when you have to buy the gas to use the emergency ambulance? so the ambulance park, when you go there and say, I'll be bringing the ambulance.
He said, man, got a book gas. He said, oh, but my man, in crash, so I need help. They said, oh, but man, you get gas money for getting.
She says, Sarah Dapo says, a dopo writer says, whatever country is there, Volcano has become known as a pathological liar. His followers celebrate him.
Sarah said, cousin of Volcano has become a pathological liar.
She said, whatever country is this when citizens are calling people in the diaspora for $5?
Whatever country is there, they never get it with the food money,
The laugh therapy.
Just of your time to forget.
The laugh therapy. What's this? Yeah, you say, Zay, you say, whatever country is this when you have senators selling Liberty Party for spoonfish?
Whatever country whatever country is this?
Just send it. Moses, the other one I want to say, whatever country is this that only has one boulevard? One boulevard. From here, there be a junction to Broad Street, the Carway Junction, the boulevard finish. One boulevard. Whatever country is this? Whole country from 1847.
Yeah, got one boulevard.
One boulevard. They wanted to add it at a freeway from Redland to Freeport. But I want on the Beltway. The one before the Beltway. But yeah, they made Junction. You can't stop the Redland at the Beltway.
But if it will go,
what type of country is this? When the Minister of Information called the president, Tapata
press conference. Yeah, oh no, I think that the tell you talking about a press conference.
I will get almost say, what type of country is this? When you work for a month and get paid after 3 or 4 months. you being euphemistic almost now a whole year. What's this? Let's tell them our story when we were EBC.
Yeah, but man, if EBC owe me for 2 years.
Salary.
But man, if you owe me for 2 years.
What type of country is this? Yeah, you work for 1 month. You work for 10 months and they pay you 1 month.
You can't get paid.
No, but they pay you 1 month salary.
You know
what you say? What type of country is this when 10 miles outside the capital city look like a village? you see 10 miles, 1 mile outside the capital city, Thomas. 1 mile.
As soon as you leave Broad Street, you go Ghana to my village. Like you eat roll bro.
Our country, our country. We'll visit.
What country is this when you got all? What type of country that goes for almost 40 years?
What type of country is where you have one Christian representative? Yeah,
the president every day.
Oh God.
What's this? Now you can't be messing with
what about country then when you poo in the water and stay running down
Maggie says I was smoking.
Sarah Dovo said she was small girl. Let me see what Ellis Stevens said. Ellis Stevens said, whatever country is there when majority of the citizens endure years of trauma with all talking about healing process.
Whatever country is there, my man.
oh God. Hey, our country, man.
Whatever country is there, where you go to, you go hustle all day, my man. You eat dry red with our oil. Whatever country is there, my
Whatever country is this from Alexander Hayes.
Yeah.
When the employee call their working place the hustle ground.
The hustle ground.
Yeah, the working places.
Yeah.
Yeah, my man here on the hustle ground.
Yeah, my man on the. In fact, when a man is appointed to a position, you ask my man chopping there. What type of country?
We'll come back to that. Yeah, so we'll bring Thomas back. But yeah, so when they appoint a man to a position, the man said chopping there. Whatever going to get you job, you want a job, you got no chopping there.
You think you're about salary or not chopping?
Yeah. They get you job, they appointed you, then you ask him what a chopping to the place. Thomas, why you say whatever country is this? When a capital building has a big barrel or whatever you call it. But they still
the seat of the first branch of government or forget it, the seat of the first branch of government.
Yeah. Thomas say again, whatever country is this when people fry kiss me, baby. They got a prison man.
Whatever country is this, my man?
Whatever country is this? When the people want total freedom to drive on the wrong side of the road, freedom to drive your car with all registration and license plate, freedom to leave work anytime you want to, freedom to build your house anywhere you want to, freedom to sell anywhere. Whatever country is this? That's a very good one, Thomas Johnson.
That's a good one. Where you go to work at anytime you wish.
Anytime you leave from there, anytime you build your house, no zoning. You don't care what kind of design. Nobody cares. I mean, just so much freedom to the point. Whatever country is so free that is free to destroy itself. What type of country is this? That the freedom is so free to destroy itself, Moses.
Yeah, absolutely. No control, my man.
No control. Whatever country is this, Ellis Stevens says, when your relatives want to screw you up, they present business proposal that would never be achieved. And you know the people who call you, I just want to do business. And you get anything.
They say, my man, let do that. Let not take the project. You send the money, they ask the man, the message, my man.
Whatever country is this, Emmanuel Jackson says, the president leave his job for 49 days. Come back home to correct Louis Brown on Bible text. Oh, no.
The man is serious job of it. They want correct Louis Brown.
He said, the man said, our 4 Hebrew boys. You know that Daniel was in the lion den.
Jesus, my man, what type of country is this?
Oh, my people, this is the life.
This is a very good therapy for us, my man.
Well, thank you, my people. Thank you.
It was a pleasure being here, my people. Yes, me, my friend. I want to proud. You know, double. All of you want to say thank you for coming.
but the one I read it made me laugh, my man.
Yeah.
The one I read it made me laugh. The policeman wearing slippers to work. And I babao. Hey, you know the shower slipper. Slipper go.
But forget it. What's about the world, man? You are driving, you get alcohol. Then always say, my man. Say, my man, you enjoy it. What you get for your man now?
No, why you say whatever country they don't want airport? At least we got one. But imagine We got one airport, but we got even whatever country is there, we got one war thing. War thing, we say we got army, but we got one war thing.
Whatever country is there, you get to
Whatever
the
country is
airport,
this?
my man, everybody asking you for something.
Alexander here said, whatever country is this? When the minister of his board bringing someone to the minister to eat her eyeball.
Whatever
Oh,
country is there, my man, you go to the bank to withdraw your own money, and then they say you got to bribe before they give you what you went for.
Yeah, your own money. Oh. You, as a matter of fact, you wire your money. Oh.
Yeah,
You
you
pay the
wire
sending
money
fee.
to the bill to make withdrawal. They say,
Yeah, you
man,
pay the
gotta
sending
go-
fee here too. Oh. Then you get it, then you got to bribe to get your own money. Whatever country is this?
Whatever.
What
Then
type of country is this? You go to the bank that your money you've been saving to get your
Yeah.
money off. You got to pay teller to get your money off. What type of country is this?
yeah, you gotta give me something. Let me go talk with the chief.
Yeah. Eh? What type of country is this? And we sit there and think that this thing is normal.
Yeah,
And we
just
should accept
normal,
it.
man. It's part of the
And I think the
routine.
humor here, the laughter here, it just has to do with what we're pointing out.
Yeah,
Our
these are
country
the ills, the
is totally,
societal ills, you
it's
know,
totally,
yeah.
it's totally corrupt. It's totally in shambles. It's totally broken down, rather. And
No
so
structure,
much
man.
work needs to be done, Moses. So much work. So much work.
A lot.
What type of country is this? When people
Yeah.
are selling waiter market in government ministries. Can you imagine?
Can you imagine how the capital? You go into the chimba, you see the window market. Sitting at the main entrance, it's a
But I mean,
chimba.
no,
That's what
the man got
you
waiter market on his shoulder. You enter the capital way and selling cheap there. The man carrying a waiter market on his
the
chest.
guy
and
there,
going
window
around selling
market.
cheap there.
You got his cigar, everything inside there.
What type of country is this when you spend
When you
spend money
spend
to
money,
send money
eh?
and someone takes your money from you again?
Oh,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, that's what they do. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true, Sarah.
Yeah.
That's right.
yeah.
They
What
take
type of
money.
country is this when every political leader is dancing buga or criticizing the other for doing the same?
But many guys will kill all you to now.
What type of country is this to get your money out of the bank? Is worse than Nigeria
Or post money exchange.
money exchange. I think you were trying to say that.
Yeah. What type of country is there, my man?
Moses, we got to
Yeah.
get out of here. So
Yeah, my man.
I
If
want to
you
thank
want
you,
to
my man.
always
Thanks
laugh
everyone
tonight.
for the opportunity to gather here tonight. This is the icebreaker to our conversation. After we do the show, we want to do the what type of country. So we
Yeah.
want you guys to come and join us for our Tuesday broadcast. And hopefully you have more of these what type of countries. Country
Is this?
laughter pointers. We appreciate you. Thank you so much, Moses. I
Yeah,
gotta
thank
run
you.
because
Yeah,
I got
my
other
man.
pressing things to do.
Yeah, we talk, man. It was a
Great
pleasure.
conversation.
Thank you.
Yeah, great conversation.
Yeah. Okay. Bye.
Thank you.
Uh,
Thank you.
bye.
And let me just put this. Oh, okay. All right. When the,
Oh,
whatever country is this when the light that was
what?
promised the people of Montserrat blew off?
Whatever country is this?
But in
You
a
know?
nutshell, in
Thomas
spite
say
of it all,
Thomas say you gotta take a last one or take it.
yeah,
In spite of it
we
all,
we
you
love that
take
crazy country,
it. We
and
will
one day
fix
we
it.
all will fix it.
That's
We all
good,
will fix
Thomas.
it. Yeah, seriously. All,
Yeah.
I mean, everything we're saying here is just the humor, and not what
Good
you
night.
think we're denigrating the country.
No, we
Or we
just making
disrespect the
fun.
country.
Yeah, these are the
We
issues.
make fun
we
of
just put
ourselves
down.
because
Yeah.
we need to make fun of ourselves because we can do more, we can do
Yeah.
better,
Yeah.
and we just continue to be lackadaisical about what we need to do to fix our country. So yes, we have to point out those things that we have failed to do over the 1847 to now.
Mhm.
And we're not blaming anyone for it. It's just the fact. How can you have a whole country there's no national library, never built in the country? You tell me, how can you have a whole country with one fire station?
But forget it. There you go. You have the University of Liberia. You go to the library. All the books are out there.
You are going to put out one type of country where they tell you library with all the
All the
books.
books are out there.
Do you know how many books I bought that was just changed semester to semester?
Oh yeah, my man. I got a stock of books here, my man.
Yeah. All right.
Every semester you got souvenirs, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm. But it was
All
a
right,
great
folks.
show, my man.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you.
Hope to
I
be
got
back
my
here.
life on. I'm ready to go now. Moses?
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
All right, bye.